Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory Update 5, and on this episode, we are working towards unlocking the next phase of our space elevator, and so sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Alright, so with unlocking the next phase of the space elevator, we need to seriously ramp up some of our productions that we're doing because we're a little bit kind of lacking in some materials to be able to crank out some of the stuff that we need. And of course, now that we've unlocked the Mark III conveyor systems and the Mark II miners, we can double our production. But with doubling our production comes more than likely a base redesign as to how things are happening. So the only way to get started with that is to do a teardown and store all of our supplies and kind of move forward from there. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Is I'm going to do a teardown of everything, and we're doing a redesign of the base here. So sit back while we rebuild and tear all this down and get us a nice clean slate to work with. Okay, so we've done some modifications down here. I have basically stripped out the platform that's here, and we raised it up with the 1 meter floor, so it's all 1 meter higher out there. It basically equals the height of where these two miners are, and I have placed the Mark II miners down, and I'm not sure if I'm going to tear the steel plant apart yet, because I still have the coal line and everything that's coming down. It's not operational at this point because I have removed the power line because it was getting fed from up here. If I wanted to, I could just quickly go from, I think it's like this corner right here, run some power poles down this way, and tie it back in again, and it would be back up and running. But I have enough of a stockpile of steel beams that I should be able to build all of the Mark III conveyors that we need to be able to move these products through here right now. So next phase is laying out all of our smelters, which is going to be, I want to say it's like 16 smelters combined for the two of these. It's 8 smelters per miner. I'm pretty sure it is. So we'll get those 16 smelters out here and then kind of branch off from them as to what we're going to have set up. Oh, and also, this is what I've got set up here for all of the items that I pulled out of there right now. This is what we've got here for storage. So, I mean, I've got ore in here. I've got ingots in here. I've got plates, rods, screws, you name it. Stuff has all just been stockpiled here. So we have everything we need to keep building. All right, quick little recap of where we've got to right now. We have the iron lines all hooked up, and they are running. If we hop over to this other side here, everything is all running off of a splitter. So the line runs down into a splitter at the end. We're coming 240 items down into here. It then breaks down to 210, splits 30 off into each of the smelters. From 210, we go to 180, down to 150, down to 120, 60, or 90, 60, 30, and so on. And then we come to the next line. Next line runs through, and it's a rinse and repeat to the exact same thing. And then we also have the copper line connected up as well, too. And that's, of course, bringing 240 copper ore up this way and into the smelters, and they all run through. Now, I haven't done anything on this side of the copper line to get it hooked up yet. But for the iron stuff, we have it all feeding out into mergers that are then shooting down here. And this first bank of 8 then goes up on a conveyor that goes into the top. These double-size storage, they have the ability that you can have 2 inputs on them. So the iron ingots will get stored into here. And then we can actually pull 2 feeds off of this to go out to whatever manufacturing we want done. So it's absolutely ideal for everything that we want to do. And it's like super neat and compact considering how spread out I was before. We've got everything all nice and neatly compact in here. And it just is so much cleaner now that we've done this upgrade like this. So next we'll be starting to work on getting the construction end of it. I've got to tear down the rest of the copper stuff and rebuild the flooring out that way. and then start getting our assemblies, our constructors and assembly units all put back together, and then tear down the steel and get the steel manufacturing. I want to at least double what we're getting out of the steel manufacturing. So, all right, one of the things that we upgraded in prep of everything that's going to get done down at our main base is because we're getting 240 coal per node now, I was able to actually take one node, and one node is now powering 16 coal generators. So if we look at this now, we're actually generating a maximum production of 1,200 megawatts of power now off of one node of coal, which has freed up the other two pure nodes of coal that can be used for steel manufacturing. Because of course we're going to have a lot more iron. So I have this is all upgraded here now, running off of the new conveyor systems. The Mark III conveyors are all through here. So it comes off that node in the corner. Let me see if I can get a better view of it. Let me leap across these generators. So that one node there is what's doing all the feeding, and it's coming out of that, and it's feeding all the way down this side. And so it's feeding all these generators. It loops around, goes all the way back, and feeds that side, and that sums up all of our coal that's getting used in here. It works out to a nice balanced usage of coal. But the one thing that we did have to do is I did need to add another set of water pumping stations, which is why there's a middle pipe that comes up here now. So I did add some more water pumping up here. So that's what this line is. And it's just running those last four. Let me see if I can zip under. Oh, I can go up over top. That works. So I added 3 more pumping stations. It's not neat and tidy here at all. Like at some point, I will kind of clean this up a little bit. I was more worried about, okay, let me make sure I've got the power and everything that we need, because the base is going to significantly use more. So that generator, or that water extractor, and this water extractor are what's feeding that middle line. So then, if we whip back up over here, and we'll just slide underneath that water, and come all the way back up this way, slide underneath, jump over top. So the Mark II miners do sit lower in the ground, so I did have some issues that way. All of these conveyors have been upgraded to steel conveyors now. They're Mark III conveyors. They're still feeding the old system, which is doing jack, like it's still running its slow speed. It's just, I needed to make sure that I could get the materials down here fast enough for what needed to be upgraded. So I am going to, I can't sprawl out the base too much. I do have to start going up with the build. So I've moved this iron, all the stuff that we were constructing over here, which was for the frames. I'm now moving this iron is now going to end up down, and I've got a row there at the bottom. This actually gives us a really good look here. There's a row right there. Boop, 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 boop. That's 24 smelters that are lined up. That's my iron production right there. So anything that's going to be iron made. And then up here, we have 10 foundries set up that's going to run everything for our foundries, which is going to come from the iron that's coming over on that far side over there that I haven't upgraded that yet. This has taken some time. For you guys, it's going to be like a total of a little over a half-hour episode. For me, it is days worth of recording to be able to upgrade this. So it's been a process for sure. And we're just going to quickly slide down this way, and you get a better idea. So the copper production, I haven't done anything with copper yet. I think it's just going to tack on at the end of the foundry. So this section up here will end up being copper production. So it's not doing anything at the moment. None of these things are really doing anything. So we're bringing that node down here. It's flying down for iron ore. And then it's loaded into the first 8 smelters on here. And all of these conveyors are stepped properly so that they feed at the correct speeds. And then the other 2 nodes here are feeding into that bank of 8, and then this one feeds into that bank of 8. And then from the top, I've got it all rigged up so that when we do get the iron up here, this is already set to distribute the iron ore correctly. And then the little bit of leftover is just run on this conveyor underneath. And same for this line, because there's going to be 2 different lines worth of iron feed. It's coming down under here, and then it shoots up, and then there's one more smelter that's up top that's taking care of any of the excess. Because it works out that 2 nodes of 240, so 480 iron, leaves us 30 left over, which is perfect for 1 smelter up there. So that will end up getting added to this end. And now if we run over to this end, let me just sneak through these conveyors. Everything here now, all of these smelters, all feedback, stack up, and load into these larger capacity storage chambers. There's nothing in there yet because I haven't actually turned this on yet. But that's where all of the iron ingots are going to go there. And then I will distribute from this section here where the iron ingots are going to go. And I've set up a bunch of constructors here. This is going to be my plate construction. And then I will do another set of 8 and 8 above for iron rod construction. And then I'll do like another 8 and 8 above and then combine them for screw manufacturing or whatever it ends up being. We'll have plenty of materials to be able to take care of it. And then, of course, all of the steel production is up there that we are working towards. So that's what I've been kind of grinding away at. So while we're actually up here, I'm going to take this time now. There's 2 days worth of Advent that I haven't done yet. And the first one is going to be number 5. Let's grab number 5. And basic FICSMAS skin we got. So I'm not entirely sure what that is. So we'll have a look at that here in a second. And then number 6, because at the time that I'm recording this right now, it is the 6th. And so we will click on that. And a super special. Nope, still just used for making FICSMAS decorations. Okay, fine. that's awesome. Okay, so there's 5 and 6 done on the Advent calendar. Well, we can make Blade Runners now. I didn't even notice that. That requires... I think I actually have that wire. Hold on a second. Can I actually craft those now? I can! Okay, these make it so that we can run around a lot faster. Hold on a second. Tab. Equip on the body. So now we're actually moving along a lot faster now. Let's take those off and just see what that looks like with them off. And then we'll put them back on again. Oh yeah, that's a significant, almost double the speed. We'll be able to get around a lot better now. That's kind of, ooh, wow, you could get some good jumps in too. We don't want to end up launching ourselves over the side. So now we got our Blade Runners, so that's actually kind of cool. Okay guys, with that said, let's keep building and see where we can get in the next round. Okay, as you can see here, we're working with our steel foundries. This is going to be the new steel production line. The other steel production line is still up and running, and it is making a bunch of steel beams and stuff for us that are just getting moved into storage right now because we're using tons of steel conveyors, which is the Mark III conveyors to be able to move products and stuff around. But basically what I'm working on right now is we're going to have 2 lines of 240 coal coming down from the hillside up there. That's currently actually, I've got it feeding to 240 all the way down here right now. And this system is going to, one of those lines will be able to run 5 of our foundries and still leave us with 15 coal left over. So I've been coming through here, putting these splitters in place and running the elevators in so that we've got everything. So this, the first conveyor is all set up here, and then like the extra 15 I will like shoot up here at some point, or maybe even just feed it out and down into a storage container of some sort to be able to store the extra, because both these lines combined we're going to end up with like 30 extra coal off of this. So they'll go later on towards making like gunpowder to help with our sulfur exploration in the MAMs. So in the meantime, like we've been just kind of going through here with these, wow, with the Blade Runner's on, your jumping is significantly higher. So basically what I'm doing is I'm coming along here with these splitters, and I'm just stacking them up 3 high here. Just like so, and that gives us the right height that we need to be able to come along here with the elevator, click on this, spin it around, and bang, that is now hooked up. And then we can remove these 2. And now everything's all set up here so that we can feed a conveyor line into here and be able to continue on down. So I'm going to keep plugging away at getting these all hooked up here, and then we'll work at trying to get the coal line down here as well and have everything all hooked up, ready to go to power everything back up again. Okay, so we've kind of finished the modifications that we needed to do just to get the raw materials over here now. So I do have our 2 lines of 240 coal come whipping down this way, and it is feeding all the way down this way and then down these elevators that then feed into, and should be, as we're looking here, all of this stuff is because the coal miners are already powered up and connected and ready to go. These are already starting to fill up and go into their respective positions. Let me just jump down here. That hurt. Okay, so we've got coal is in, and it looks like it's almost... Oh, we've got a conveyor slowdown here. I've got to upgrade. That conveyor is going too slow. That's better. That's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I got to be careful because some of the conveyors didn't end up getting the upgrades they were supposed to have, and I need to make sure that the feed lines are all Mark III conveyors, because it's kind of critical that they all get their materials in them as they're supposed to have. Let's just see. I don't know if these aren't powered up yet, so I don't know if they're going to take on the materials. I don't think they will until I actually get it all powered on. But iron is like this. The iron that's sitting here right now, the iron ore that's already fed through, was just what was on the conveyors as I converted them over and then connected them. So let me see. I'm going to run over to our little lookout tower that's over here, and we'll get a little bit better idea of kind of what we're looking at. Climb. So this has taken me like 3 days to get this all rigged up the way it is now. So all of this, what you're seeing right here below us, is completely disconnected now. This is doing absolutely nothing. So our coal is coming down from there, and it is running over to this assembly over here. And then the iron now, we have all of the conveyors, or all the miners are upgraded to Mark II miners. And then we have the conveyors that are feeding down this way and in here, and then end up connecting down below. So, like, we are definitely getting things kind of rigged up the way we want them to be. Please don't die. Okay, good. I didn't die. Oh, that's going to hurt too. Oh, no, it didn't. So those iron are feeding in here, and they're going up to do the foundries. This iron is all in here. You know what? The thing is I just need to power it up and make it happen. And that's all it's going to take to get things up and going here. So first things first, I'm powering up this bad boy. I'm powering up that bad boy. So this should start getting iron flying out of these at 240 items per minute. And they're just getting up to speed. There comes the iron. There comes the iron. Okay, now all I need to do, if I've got this all hooked up right, is I need to go like this. And like that. All of these now should be the whole line here, I think. Except for maybe the second floor. I'm just going to check that right now. The second floor is not hooked up yet. So I need to run a line from here to here. We got a little bit of clipping happening there, but it's okay with the cable. Everything... Why are you guys not working? Because you're not set to iron ingots. That's why. I got to get you all set to iron ingots. I'm not sure, like, I'm pretty sure I had these set to iron ingots. I'm not sure why they wouldn't be anymore. Okay, we should have a crap ton of green lights here now. Green, 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 green. Those are all green. We're not green at this end. These aren't set up right. Iron ingots. Iron ingots. So in total, we have 24 smelters that are converting into iron ingots for us. And then those are all getting dumped into, like, okay, this one is working, but it's not receiving any materials. Why are we not getting any materials down this way? And that is because... And it would be because we don't have this miner turned on. That would do it. Two, boom. Okay, that should start producing. This will be pumping materials down here. And then we did hook up the copper line, but I see that the copper is not producing for some reason. So what's going on? Copper is powered up and working. So why is our copper line up top not doing anything? Let's go check that out. I'm getting all the ingots made. That was what the goal was here, is getting all these ingots fired up. And let me guess, all these are going to be set to... Yeah, it all reset for whatever reason. I know I had set these to copper. Okay, it looks like we've got green lights happening here. Okay, so we have the iron plate manufacturing is back in line again. We have, I took a feed of 8 out of there at 30 items per minute. Is 240 items per minute coming out of our first little storage container. Those are all feeding down. Of course, we only get 20 items per minute out of them. So we got 20, 40, 60, 80, 160 items per minute getting loaded into here for plate, which should be okay for our regular plate manufacturing. I think that's going to be plenty for what we want to do with it, because we'll split off a little bit from this that will end up, you know, storing just regular plate for as often as we actually need it, and then the rest will get put into doing reinforced plate. So I'm noticing we've got a little bit of a slowdown happening here. Looks like it might be starving a little bit on ingots. I think it's just a matter of it catching up is all that's going to be, because it should be able to handle, I think once we get everything kind of caught up and everything's all full at this end, I think we'll probably be okay. Because if we look at this unit here, like this is getting fed at 60 items, it's already full. We're looking at this one, it's full now. Keep going down the line. This one here is almost full. It's getting caught up, so as more and more materials are getting shoved down this way, it's going to fill up. So eventually, all of these lines will be solid, and there won't be any hold up there at all. Now, I could have gone and actually load balanced this, but this is an equal number of 240 items per minute, so we're going to be fine with that. I don't anticipate that we're going to need to properly load balance this to be able to get the items that we need that's in there. I'm just going to double check to make sure that these conveyors are all, they're all the Mark III conveyors, so we're okay. We got the speed that we need there. It's just a matter of waiting for the rest of these machines to fill up, and it filters down to here. Like now, everything's green, so it's just in that time, it's already started to get caught up. We're starting to build up a surplus in this machine, so we're golden. We're golden. I mean, we're already full, like all of our container, like this. We have more iron going into this than what's coming out at this point. And I'm sure if we climb up to this next one, this one is already half full. And I think the top one is coal, excess coal that's going into it. So we're doing totally fine when it comes to the amount of materials. So next is the rod construction. That's going to be a little bit more intense because I'm going to come down here with 8 iron rods, and then there'll be 8 more above it, all fed off of the same feed, because remember, iron rods only require 15 items per minute on their input. As you can see in that little time lapse we did, we threw the 8 constructors down at the bottom, 8 more constructors up at the top. I'll then tie them in with a merger system that will merge all of the materials together to produce over, and then I'll probably end up running the conveyor back over this way. I might even start from the top and merge it all the way back down and work it this way, and then run a conveyor system up along here to another storage container that's up top here that's going to end up holding all of our iron rods. Okay, so we have run our iron ingots now down along here. They will, as soon as I connect this line right here, they will start to filter through 15 items per minute into each one of these constructors, and then shoot upstairs, and then 15 items per minute on the next line. So let's quickly run through here. We're going to grab the right conveyor. We're going to click here, down here, and every one of these should slowly start kicking in and start producing our iron rods. They're all slowly starting to turn green and fly through. Of course, it will take some time for these machines to all basically, because it's like taking this line here and splitting it and forcing 60 into that line, because I got a Mark 1 conveyor that's feeding into it. So 60's piling into there until it's full. And then 60 will pile into there until it's full. So on and so forth, all the way along until these basically all fill up. And it will slowly filter its way through so that items start shooting up through this conveyor. Now it should be... the conveyor system should work. So it's 15 items per minute that's required for doing the iron rods. So basically, you're doubling the amount of constructors over what the plate construction was. So as you can see up here, we're still shy on materials because we're kind of waiting for them to fill up as they come through. And I'm pretty sure it will... I don't think this is clipping, to tell you the honest truth. Like, I don't think that that's going to cause any issues. Because we do have the occasional one of these where the materials are getting through and it is starting to load. So let us just put back that flooring and just kind of, we're going to have to wait for everything to just kind of fill up is what it'll be. All right, iron rod production is at 100%. We've got everything is all charged up and full now. all of the items are moving along. Everything that's getting manufactured is getting fired down these conveyors, and then it's dropping down this way, and then it's feeding along here, gathering up steam, to eventually we're getting to a point where we are getting near perfect 240 items per minute coming out of here, with the occasional little blip, just because if one of the machines was waiting for a second, you're seeing that occasional little stutter there. And this is now filling up this second storage unit up here. So if we look at this one, we're already 2/3 of the way full on that one. So, and then our iron plate is almost completely full now as well. So iron plate construction, iron rod construction, we're all back to full swing there. Next is going to be screws, and then we start getting into the actual assembly portion of what we've got to do, which is going to be our rotors, our reinforced plate, our smart plating, our modular frames, and then we got the steel manufacturing stuff that we need to put back together. So before I continue on with the next bit of recording, I believe I have a couple of days that I need to get caught up with on here. I didn't pull the last one, so the 7th is right here. We're going to pick that one. What did we get? We got some power shards. Actually, a pretty good pile of power shards at that, too. That's for doing overclocking. And then the other one we got is number 8. Let's just click on here. Where's the 8th? The 8th is... I'm looking. 22, 6, 19, 20. I'm trying to think, have I even seen the 8th yet? I'm not sure if that's a number that I've even come across. So there's 11 right there. It will be here somewhere. There it is, right there. Number 8. And a bunch of candy canes. Perfect. So we can work towards continuing our FICSMAS research. So, yeah, so that's where we're at right now. Obviously, today is December 8th when I'm recording this little bit. This video so far has taken me like 3 days to compile all the video together. Working on trying to get all of our manufacturing back to where we were, but scaled up twofold. So we're going to dive back into that. I still need to get into the actually assembly end of things and the copper manufacturing. I haven't touched the copper manufacturing yet. Okay, so I have all of the copper production completed now. So basically, we're taking the copper ingots from this line here, and we're feeding them in. These first... Is it 2 or 3? I think it's the first 3 here are doing copper sheeting, and then the next 4 are doing copper wire, and then there is a conveyor that kind of shoots up. Yeah, it's clipped because I don't have conveyor holes yet, so that's going through the floor. Eventually, when I unlock conveyor holes, I will put a conveyor hole there so you don't see that. But then these are all going to feed through here and into this setup out here. So all the copper wire is feeding down on this, and then it shoots up that way, and all of the copper sheeting is going to come up this way, and it shoots up that way, because then we split this again and we do the exact same thing up here. We have the first 3 here are doing copper sheeting, and they are taking from this one here and just kind of basically filling these up here so that we're getting all of our items and our copper sheetings being stored into there. And then the other elevator that was bringing up the copper wire is coming up right here and connecting to this feed. And then these ones here are all putting out copper wire as well too. And they're all feeding down this line all the way over here. And then it splits. Half of it is going into storage here, and then half of it is feeding into these 2 constructors, which is making copper cabling for us. And then all of that copper cabling is coming and going into this storage unit. There was another basic construction service that I had to end up putting together, and that is our screw manufacturing. So I'm taking the last 8 nodes, or last 8 smelters that were down here. We zip along here, show you what's happening. So these last 8 smelters that were down here, I have them all feeding in two constructors making iron rods. All of those iron rods then come over here and end up getting dumped into this unit, making 240 iron rods per minute. And then we are taking those 240 iron rods per minute and running them through all 24 of these constructors, as we whip all the way around here, manufacturing screws for us. So that gives us about 960 screws per minute is what we're getting out of this. I want to say, does that math work out right? 120, 240, yeah, 960 screws per minute is what that's working out to. That we are actively constructing out of here now. And so this line is filling up. This one has been running for a bit, so it's getting there. It's almost to a full point. And these ones, I'm just waiting for these ones to catch up. I just turned this system on, so these constructors haven't quite caught up to the flow the way I've got these splitters all set up. So it's basically filling up the first one, like the other ones that I showed examples for, where it's, filling up this one to maximum capacity, and then it fills up this next one to maximum capacity, so on and so forth down the line until they're all full. So, and then of course, as this bank on this side, this set of 12, once it fills that bottom chest, then all 240 of these will end up flowing down this way. So we will have plenty of screws for making reinforced plate and modular frames. So I guess it's probably rotors and stuff. I can't remember what all takes it, but we'll have plenty to be able to feed out of there to get those assemblies back in line. One thing I do need to look at, though, is we're now, if everything was to turn on right now, we're like 250 megawatts away from maxing out our power usage. Now, not all of our stuff is running, so our actual power consumption is quite low. But we should be prepared. I might add 2 more coal generators, because I actually have enough coal that's getting fed down here that is stored in this container up there that would be enough to be able to power 2 more coal generators that we could have just sitting down here as kind of additional power on our system. So that's one thing I'll look at here as we start adding on our assemblers to get the other things built. Right, the next little bit that we got done here is, of course, I've got the 2 additional power generators, coal power generators are here. Just to give us a little bit of a power bump since we had an extra 30 coal per minute coming in off of the steel line. And then we've added in the concrete manufacturing. So concrete manufacturing is now happening here. We have the 2 normal nodes. Actually, I think they might be pure nodes, but they're a lot lower. They're 120 items per minute coming in. Combined together is 240. And they are feeding these technically 5 and a bit constructors, because there's not quite enough to be able to do 6 full constructors. So this one's just kind of picking up whatever excess is there, and then it's all feeding down and getting put into this industrial storage container. So that is our concrete production. Okay, after hours and hours and hours of laying out and placing and calculating and figuring out everything that we could get, this here is our iron assembly area. And let me kind of explain what's going on here. So there is a total of, I want to say it's 13 assemblers in here. There's 6 on this side and there's 7 on that strip. So the first 4 on this side are manufacturing our reinforced plate. So they have plate getting fed into them, and they have screws all getting fed into them at 100% efficiency going into those. So they are getting their maximum output. And I want to say that it works out to those 4 puts out 20 reinforced iron plate per minute. And those are all getting put into a temporary storage unit that's kind of right behind this. You can't really see them because these ones are in the way. But there is another temporary storage right there. Then the next 2 assemblers that are down here, they're making our rotors, and they're working out to about 8 rotors per minute at 100% efficiency down there. So they're getting iron rods fed into them, and they're getting screws fed into them. And then everything they produce is getting stuck into one of these storages. Now, these 2 storage containers here, that's overflow for extra plate, and it's overflow for extra screws that are kind of going into there. Anything that's overflow off of this production line ends up going into those 2 chests. So that's rotors and reinforced plate. We then take this reinforced plate, and it gets fed to all 7 of these assemblers. So the first 5 of those assemblers, those are making modular frames. And then the last 2 are making our smart plating. So, and then any of the overflow from the iron reinforced iron plate, it gets stored into a container that's down there. Then the other thing that's happening in here for making the modular frames is also rotors that are getting fed into there. So it's getting a feed from our rotor storage over here, and it's feeding those first 5 for the modular frames. Is it rotors? No, sorry, it's iron rods. They're actually taking a feed of the extra iron rods that are over here, and it's going into there. It's not rotors. Sorry, rotors is for the smart plating. So it's smart reinforced iron plate going into the first input on both of those, and then it's iron rods going in on the second input on those. And then any of the excess iron rod is getting stored in another container down there. So there's nothing's just sitting. It's always at least getting put into a storage container that eventually we can get set up with awesome sinks to be able to dump that material into awesome sinks. Next is our smart plating. So the smart plating is the last 2 that are there. And those 2 units are getting a feed of course, the reinforced iron plate is feeding into those. And then they're getting a feed of rotors that are coming over to here. And then any excess materials for any of these are getting stored in containers out there. So we've got modular frame storage over there. We got smart plating storage over there. We got rotor storage over there. We've got iron rod storage over there. We've got reinforced plate storage over there. And then extra screws and stuff as well too. So everything is getting stored so that eventually we can get to a point where we can put smart splitters on all of those, and the storage containers can stay there and hold materials. And then when we do fill up those, then it can get dumped into an awesome sink to be able to get us more awesome sink tickets. That would end up going into our awesome shop, of which I do have the awesome shop up and running now. There's the awesome sink right there. I've been just kind of taking any of the excess materials that I've had up here and just manually dumping them into an awesome sink and getting some tickets, which in turn has awarded me, I've got some hand railings now. I've got some the reversed sloped foundations now as well. You'll notice down here I've got some walkways and stuff that I've manufactured as well too. So that's kind of where we're at there. Now the last thing I have to do to get us back to the point where we were before we tore everything apart is I need to now work on our assembly off of this chunk of material right here, which is all of our steel. So we got to get our steel manufacturing up to par with all of this stuff that's here, because currently right now all of our steel is being, if I'm not mistaken, should be getting, it's getting stored down here. So all of our steel is fed into here, and it's 2 solid lines that are getting fed into there. So we are ready now to feed out of here and into a new assembly plant that is going to be another floor up over top of all this, and we'll get our steel manufacturing happening. Okay, I've finished everything with the steel stuff. So we've got our foundries over here. The steel and everything is all coming out of there. All the ingots go here. And then we have 2 lines that are dividing and coming out, feeding these constructors here. So we have this side here is making our steel beams. And then this side over here is making our steel pipes. All of the steel pipes are... Yes, they are going into here. They're coming out. I'm sitting there going, hold on a second. Why are they not going into this? But they're actually coming out on this side. So the steel pipes feed out of here and end up in here. And they're not manufacturing. Why? I never powered... I stayed online. Like, I left this online today so that this would be running. I never actually powered this system up. So we didn't get our steel pipes made, but they're certainly getting made now because we are now have everything all plugged in. So, to sum that up, all of our steel pipes are getting fed into here now. They're going to come flying down these here. They all pile together and end up in this storage container. Then over here, and this is how much we should have had done. If you look here, we've got all of our steel beams done. Coming in off of this line, they're all feeding out on this side here. All of our steel beams are running down and into this storage container. The steel pipes would have been done just as much if I had actually remembered to power up those lines when I got everything all built up on that. So, well, that's a thing. So then from here, we're going to go up this little ladder. And we have our first assembler up place here that is making our encased industrial steel beams. Those are there. So we are now back at a point where we were before we tore everything down to upgrade everything. So we now have everything duplicated as far as our total production capabilities. We are cranking out so much stuff here now. Everything's been upgraded to Mark II miners and Mark III conveyor systems. We are stocked for supplies, which is just absolutely fantastic. Now we can start gathering up our materials we need and building the additional assemblers we need that are going to finish the elevator to get us into tier 4 and tier 5 and tier 6. But with that said, I think this is where we're going to end this episode. I think this episode's gone on a little longer than I anticipated, mainly because there was a ton of work to go into this. And if you look at what our power consumption is right now, let's just run over to one of these little power gauges. We can make 1,350, and our total potential output is at 1,288. We're actually only consuming 500 right now, so we have a little bit of room to play. But if everything was to fire up and run at once, we'd be dang near maxing out our power consumption. So we may in the future have to find another coal line to be able to add in some more coal burners, some more coal generators here, to be able to get into some better power. I mean, it seemed like just not that long ago where we're like, oh, we got more power than we know what to do with. And lo and behold, we start adding everything up and getting everything all plugged in here. And now we're drastically getting out of power. So with that said, guys, I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you for watching this video. You've made it to the end, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button and reach down and hit that like button on the video. Give me a shout out on Instagram and on Twitter as well too, at TerrisDWDC. And you can check out the website, TerrisDWDC.com. With that said, you guys have a good one, and we will catch you in the next one.